Welcome to this edition of the SKNIS Week in Review, a roundup of the highlights of government-related activities and programs that have taken place over the past week. In this program, we focus on the period September 29th to October 5th. Coming up, older persons to be celebrated during October, essential service workers to receive compensation, national climate change adaptation strategy being developed, and high school and sixth form students to benefit from Social Security scholarship. These ahead and more. Thank you for joining. My name is Jacqueline Bryan. October is being celebrated as the month of older persons. The month-long observance was officially declared open in an address to the nation by the Honorable Senator Wendy Phipps, who is the Minister of State with responsibility for health, community development, gender affairs, and social services. Senator Phipps said the ministry has carefully designed a series of activities throughout the month of October. These events include a church service, elderly spa day, trip to Nevis, a picnic to be held at Frigate Bay, and the traditional ministerial visits to the oldest persons in each community. The theme for the month is Stepping into the Future, tapping into the talents, contribution, and participation of older persons in society.
The theme is therefore a declaration of the imperative for inclusiveness of our senior citizens in everything we undertake, given the various talents, gifts, skill sets, money, labor, love, and sacrifice they would have invested in their families, other people's children, their communities, jobs and churches, and the economy.
Senator Wendy Phipps said that by July 2017, the Federation has celebrated having a total of 18 centenarians for the first time in recorded history. Essential service workers who braved post-hurricane conditions to ensure that the country quickly returned to a state of normality will soon be compensated for their hard work and dedication. Speaking at his monthly press conference on October 3rd, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris urged all the relevant departments to get the information for those workers to the Financial Secretary or Deputy Financial Secretary.
In my address to the country, I had made mention that we wanted to incentivize and reward those essential service workers who went beyond the call of duty and risked their lives in particular during and after the hurricane. I could now announce that the Ministry of Finance will be ready to make payment to our essential service workers during the months of October and certainly by end of November.
Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. Efforts to improve the conditions of over 1,200 government auxiliary employees, or GAE, are well underway, according to Deputy Financial Secretary Calvin Edwards. Mr. Edwards is a member of a committee that was established to deal with GAE matters. Government auxiliary employees were formerly referred to as non-established workers. He gave an update on the situation at the Prime Minister's monthly press conference on October 3rd, where he explained that the information gathering exercise had been taking a long time because of the number of people involved. The committee was set to meet to discuss figures that had already been compiled.
The act to implement this pension scheme was passed many years ago, but it was never activated. According to the input from the GAE on the board, on the committee, there were certain payments that were stopped. They used to get a payment called honorarium, which was about 2% per year. And that was stopped because that amount would be contributed to the person's pension scheme. And so we have been going back in time trying to get an assessment as to how much is owed, trying to make a determination how best to deal with that.
That was Calvin Edwards, who is the Deputy Financial Secretary. Cabinet will be considering two options for a way forward regarding the Old Road Bay Road from ADEB Consultants Limited out of Jamaica. The disclosure was made by the Minister of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Ian Liburd, at the Prime Minister's monthly press conference on October 3rd. He is hoping that Cabinet will have the final designs by October, after which they will proceed with the tendering process.
Just a few days ago, we have received the preliminary designs for the Old Road Bay rehabilitation works. We have in fact received two options, which I can't speak too much about because the Cabinet has not been able to deliberate on them. But one entails the hillside benching, and the other one entails some land reclamation works.
Minister of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Ian Liburd. The Old Road Bay Road was extensively damaged following the passage of Hurricane Maria and was temporarily impassable as a result. The Temporary Hurricane Relief Fund option of the Citizenship by Investment Program, or CBI, is not a replacement for its real estate or Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation options. The distinction was made by Les Khan, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Citizenship by Investment Unit. He was a guest on the Working For You program on October 4th, where he made it clear that the St. Kitts and Nevis CBI program is not underselling the real estate option.
I think it should be clear, and it's obvious to me from what I've been seeing over the last couple of weeks since we announced this, is that our real estate options applications have not declined. People know that we have the Hurricane Relief Fund, they're not switching. I've had clients and agents on island the last couple of weeks, and decisions were made on real estate in spite of this.
Chief Executive Officer of the Citizenship by Investment Unit, Les Khan. The Ministry of Environment has been hosting consultations in St. Kitts and in Nevis to get contributions to the development of a National Climate Change Adaptation Strategy, or NCCAS. The strategy will address the impact of climate change and how to build resilience. At these consultations, the department welcomed the views, experiences, and input from community groups, civil society, fisherfolk, and farmers on the impact, vulnerabilities, and potential adaptation strategies related to climate change. Minister of Environment, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, noted that the development of the NCCAS is important because the impacts of climate change on the country and the region were expected to be immense.
In response to the current and projected impacts, it is important, therefore, that St. Kitts and Nevis undertake various initiatives that will reduce risks to humans and natural assets, which comes from the change in climate and because of climate vulnerability. St. Kitts and Nevis recognizes that for climate change impacts to be sustainably addressed, it requires work from everyone. For low-lying coastal communities like St. Kitts and Nevis, it is critically important that the necessary measures and actions are put in place to protect our beaches, coastline, infrastructure, roads, utility lines, and buildings, as well as our own lives. It is important to ensure that that is protected.
Minister of Environment, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton. The Ministry of Education is discussing the introduction of a program where dialect will be used to help children learn standard English. The effort is part of its Early Learners Program, or ELP pilot project, which is being carried out in St. Kitts and Nevis. As part of that project, the first consultation on the National Language Arts Policy was held on October 3rd. Jacqueline Basu, ELP coordinator, said that teaching the students in dialect will aid in the transition from the vernacular to standard English.
Within our schools, we realize that our students speak dialect more so than standard English. But it's our aim to give instructions in standard English. And so the Early Learners Program is suggesting that the dialect be used in an effort to help students to speak standard English. That is, when the dialect is used, the students are coached into translating that dialect into standard English.
Early Learners Program or ELP Coordinator Jacqueline Basu. 8 deserving students from each of the public high schools in the Federation were the recipients of the 2017 to 2018 Susanna Lee High School Scholarship Award offered by the St. Christopher and Nevis Social Security Board Scholarship Program. The scholarship is valued at $500 for 2nd, 4th, and 5th form students and $750 for 1st and 3rd form students. The awardees of this year's scholarships were Tifara Brown of the Charles E. Mills Secondary School, Princess Simon of the Washington Archibald High School, Royana Warner of the Bastia High School, Rikisio Salters of the Keon High School, Kermal Stevens of the Sadlers Secondary School, Joshonia Edwards of the Virchilds High School, Tiana Williams of the Charlestown Secondary School, and Devry Lewis of the Gingerland Secondary School. The students will receive the monetary assistance every year once they maintain a certain level of academic performance. They will also be able to receive the assistance should they decide to go on to the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College. The 5th form graduates who are part of the program are Tikoya Mason of the Sadlers Secondary School, Jovan Connor of the Charles E. Mills Secondary School, Tajora Stapleton of the Washington Archibald High School, Joselle Watley of the Bastia High School, Rihanna Powell of the Gingerland Secondary School, Keshawn Headley of the Keon High School, Shania Williams of the Charlestown Secondary School, and Lufkin Foster of the Virchilds High School. Some 196 students have received the scholarship since its inception in 1983. And that concludes this edition of the SKNIS Week in Review. Thank you for watching and take care.
Stay up to date with news, programs, and activities of the government with SKNIS. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud. Follow us on Twitter. And watch our videos on YouTube. Connect with us today. SKNIS, St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.